of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Stacy, do we have roll call, please?
Not working? Nope, it shut down.
Maybe not.
These are so frayed.
Oh, yeah, there's a whole piece of.
Pascal?
Here.
Thank you.
Bristol? Pittsford?
Yes.
Asplin?
Yes.
Majeski?
Yes.
Reinhardt?
Yes.
Thank you.
You got money in your budget to get a new one.
We already have it.
Yeah.
Ones for upstairs.
Yeah. Okay.
By a chance, look at the agenda.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Who seconded that?
I did.
Thank you.
Okay, by a chance, look at the minutes.
There's one change Jenny asked to make, and she wasn't here to give a verbal report, but she passed out the spreadsheets. So of her report, and she wants it noted in the minutes.
Okay.
Make that motion.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? General public comment. Okay, by a chance, to look over communications list. If
Yes.
so, if they want to comment on it.
Does our board have any feeling about that? You know, changing the, health insurance?
You had a speaker that came in about that a
Yeah.
couple times.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, but I just wondered if anybody on our board had thought about it.
I have not.
Okay.
Rates are going up, but that's what you're wondering.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that things change for the better, but
52,000 car deer accidents aren't helping you.
yeah, I
That's
know
right.
that should have been taken into consideration, so. But anyway, I just wondered. Thank you.
That's right. I agree.
Okay. Report.
Okay. Senate Bill 1222-23 amended the State Convention Facilities Authority Act to extend the sunset of the liquor tax revenue for counties. So beginning in 2023, the baseline allocation in liquor tax dollars for our county will increase by about 48%. So that's an additional $49,074. And we received 103,337. So that's where we're going to be getting in our liquor tax revenue. The County Veterans Fund, which was established by our legislature in 2018, was created to encourage counties to establish and maintain county veterans service offices. The fund ensures counties are eligible to receive $50,000 plus additional funding based on the number of veterans living within the county. The counties must maintain a minimum county veteran service funding level of 70% of the funding level from 2017. That was supposed to expire, and it now has been extended through this next year and beyond. And that's House Bill 6377. And so this year, we received the $50,000, but they also had another fund that they put out there, and you had to have a population between 30,000 and 30,900, and Clare County was the only county that qualified for that, so we got an additional $71,000.
They were that specific?
They were that specific, and that was for the additional one.
Jeez, okay.
A package of bills that will place new reporting and coordination burdens on counties was approved in the lame duck, on the last day of lame duck session. I talked with Rick about this yesterday. The legislation deals with solid waste management. So how it affects us, we will be required to create a materials management plan, submit and get it approved through the Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, as well as include township officials. And it is going to cost us money. It looks as though we will have to, as a county, create recycling and reuse opportunities, including electronics. So I will keep you posted on that. But I talked with Rick about it yesterday. I sent him the bill. And we're gonna work together on that, the solid waste plan. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Good luck.
Okay, so we better than.
Look who you're working with.
So, and this is something, as of the end of November, we've spent over $75,000 on our prescriptions. The month of October, our prescription bill was $48,000. Further in the meeting, I do have a motion to request a change in the companies that we use. I feel we have no choice. We looked at several companies, sent our drug history, and have settled on a company called Smith RX, and they are affiliated with a company called Good RX. Smith RX will be contacting each employee receiving prescriptions, and everybody will get notification. There'll be a person, an agent from the prescription company that will be working with the employees. It won't just be through our agent of record, through the new company that we're gonna use. It is very important for employees to take an active role in their prescriptions with their primary care provider. We need to try and make sure, if at all possible, that we request generic equivalents. The difference in cost is huge. For example, the drug Prozac. Our current prescription provider is getting it internationally, and the county is paying $2,200 for it
For a monthly,
per month. The generic equivalent that we can get domestically through the new company is $7.
Big
$7.
difference.
So the new company, the old company gets a percentage of the prescriptions. The new company gets a set fee, like $3, $4 per drug. So if it's $7, they get $3. If it's $5,000, they get $3. So it's a huge difference
Yeah.
compared to 25%.
good job.
Okay. But employees really are gonna have to participate in this, and I'm gonna have a department head meeting on Friday and discuss all of this with them. Also, January 1st, all of the employees will have a $0 copay for all the regular doctor's visits, which we haven't had that in a long time, but we've been able to change some things around. If they go to a specialist and they're on the buy-up plan, it'll be a $10 copay. If they're on the regular plan, it'll be a $20 copay for a specialist, but it's just generally gonna be going to the doctor is gonna be a $0 copay, so that'll be good. And that'll directly affect the employees. I just finished the renewal for our liability insurance with MMRMA. I can provide you a copy of all of it if you are interested. You can come and look at it in my office. It's very, very long. I also spent a lot of time going over the county dam structures with our MMRMA and the lake levels. And I believe I can pass this around to you. So every single lake and structure is listed on our MMRMA now. And what the cost would be to replace it. And some of the structures, they call them dams, but it's a block of wood and
Yeah, those
You know,
boards that go.
a board.
across cold water.
So here's a limit for that. And then if the structure fails, in addition, I've got down at the bottom what we're insured for each occurrence. So you guys can check this out, because I know it's been a question, and we met with our auditors and started the audit process. I am starting the budget for 2024. And I will be doing it a little bit differently this year. So I'll be bringing you information probably in February. Completed the county incentive plan. Each year, the counties must submit a county incentive plan by December 1st in order to receive their full revenue sharing. Required documents for the CIP are the County Incentive Program certification, the Citizens Guide, which consists of most recent local finances and recognition of unfunded liabilities, performance dashboard, a debt service report of all funds, which can consist of issuance date of debt instrument, issuance amount by debt instrument, type of debt instrument, a listing of all revenue pledged to finance debt service by debt instrument, and listing of all annual debt service payment amounts until maturity. Plus, we have to, part of that is our projected budget report of the general fund. And this information is posted on our website, and it's posted under transparencies. So you can view it on the website if you want to, but that has been sent to the State Treasury Department, and we are required to have it viewed for the public. And I would like to say thank you to Bronwyn and thank you to Sandy for serving on our board and being involved. And I really, all of us really appreciate your service.
Okay,
So
thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura.
thank you very much. And
Just for throwing me credit to see my 5 minutes, Gigi.
that's it.
You've exceeded your time. And you take Health and Human Services A.
Sure. Okay, motion to approve the purchase of a vehicle for veterans in the amount of $27,362.93, with all of the funds being paid out of grant dollars.
I'll second.
Well, we got a second. Any discussion? Roll call, Stacy, please.
Crystal,
Yes.
Pittsford,
Yes.
Asplin,
Yes.
Majeski.
Yes.
Kleinhardt,
Yes,
Bacon,
Yes.
Haskell.
Yes. Take Finance and Administration A.
Yes, to approve statutory finance committee meeting minutes of November 14th, 2022, amount of $144,490.12, and the meeting minutes of November 28th, 2022, an amount of $211,296.59, and the meetings minutes of December 12th, 2022, amount of $96,033.24.
Second.
Motion second. Roll call, please, Stacy.
Who was second? I'm sorry.
I did.
Bacon,
Yes.
Haskell.
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 Yes.
Crystal,
Yes.
Pittsford, Asplin,
Let's say that's one.
Haskell and Asplin. Yes.
Majeski,
Yes.
Kleinhardt.
yes.
Jeff, yes, yes. Oh, Jeff.
Dale, you take B?
Sure, budget adjustments. Motion to approve the budget adjustments 23-21 in the amount of 20, or wait a second.
No.
Yeah, you're B.
Yeah, I gotta do B. Sorry about that. To approve the expenditures of the month of November of 2022 in the amount of $3,064,598.95 and general fund expenditures totaling $1,427,184.70.
Roll call, please, Stacy.
Do we have a second on it first?
Jeff is off today.
I'm not killing it today. am I?
Majeski,
It's still early in the meeting. You got a chance.
Majeski,
Yes.
Kleinhardt,
Yes,
Bacon,
Yes.
Haskell,
Yes.
Bristol,
Yes.
Pittsford.
Yes.
Asplin.
Yes.
Spencer?
Make a motion to approve budget adjustments 23-21 in the amount of $24,035 to account for the increase in the public safety grant.
Roll call, please.
Pittsford.
Yes.
Asplin,
Yes.
Majeski.
Yes.
Kleinhardt,
yes,
Bacon,
Yes.
Haskell,
Yes.
Bristol.
Yes.
Jack?
I move to approve the finance meeting dates as presented to December 2023 with the dates consistent with the off week of payroll beginning at 9 a.m.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I have a question about the last finance committee meeting of this year. It falls on the.
One day after Christmas.
Yeah, so, okay, all right, we didn't move the day, thanks.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
but
so we
we're
had,
closed that day.
Hmm?
yeah,
On that Monday?
We're
Yeah.
closed the 26th.
Okay, that's what I was wondering about.
So-
Okay, so we will have it Tuesday.
Yeah, I guess. I gotta look at the calendar. I don't have it in
Okay.
front of
I'm
me.
pretty sure it would have said Tuesday.
It'd have to be Tuesday,
Okay, all right,
Tuesday of next week.
the 27th.
all right, good.
Okay,
in front of me.
It's fine.
good thing you brought that up, Sandy.
Well,
Who did the last motion?
Jack, I think.
Robin, will you take E?
Yes. Move to approve the Board of Commissioner meeting dates through December 2023 with dates consistent with the third Wednesday of the month unless specified in the posting, with meetings to begin at 9 a.m.
Second that.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Now, can I make a comment real quick? Now, these meetings have to be set before January starts, before the calendar year starts. And I just want everybody to know the dates of the changes that the board had requested from before. So, because as the year goes on, we don't change the dates, unless the board approves it. So, the November and December dates are not the third Wednesday.
They're gonna stay the second Wednesday like we did this year?
That's whenever,
Okay, well, we can change that every year. I think the November one for sure should be arranged for hunting season. But I'm not sure about the December one, but everybody else likes that?
I think it makes sense.
Okay,
Okay, holidays. Sandy,
to approve the holiday schedule as presented for calendar year 2023.
Okay.
motion second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
To approve the contract with Great Lake Roofing and Installation Systems, Inc. to finish the jail with additional cost of $20,000 above the already approved cost of $132,500.
We have a second.
I'll second that, but I have a question. Because I went through this before when we ordered things done for the jail and it wasn't with people that the jail approved of doing the work and it caused a lot of trouble. So does the jail approve of this company and that?
They do.
Okay, that's, I'm just double checking.
That's why it's $20,000 more. It's because this is the company they approve of
Yes.
and warranties the roof.
Yes,
for 20 years.
Yep.
that's what I want to
And
hear.
we had a roof inspection done.
Yeah, I saw
Here's a
that.
report.
Yep, I saw that.
It's in here.
Okay, so we're good with that. Okay.
Or does this complete all of the roofing for the county building and the sheriff's department?
Yes.
Yay. For how long?
And, this is the company that did the county roof, and we have had some issues on the roof, and because it's a flat roof, you're gonna,
Yeah,
but you've got, the sun that beats down, we've had that takes away the seal around some of the HVAC units. And we did have some units that were changed out, and the company that changed out the heating and cooling units or when they would change the furnace filters, they just pull the top off or pull the unit out and it cut the roof. So that's when we found that there were issues. We called the company that put this roof on, totally expecting that we would have to pay for it to be fixed. Nobody wanted to touch it because they didn't want to wreck the warranty. And they came down and they fixed all of it, did not charge a dime.
so we can expect that kind of behavior in the future, then they'll fix that.
Yeah, so
Okay,
and
good.
that's been 5 years or 6 years, so
Yeah,
we still
okay.
have like another 20 years on this roof, and then it'll be the same thing.
Okay, and that leak in this corner got taken care of?
Yes.
It did. Oh, good. Thank you, Jerry.
Thanks.
Some things that were leaking in the past too were the old,
Yeah.
the condensers in the old units that
Okay.
were up there, so.
Thanks.
Roll call, please, Stacy.
Bacon,
Yes.
Haskell,
Yes.
Bristol,
Yes.
Pittsford,
Yes.
Asplin,
Yes.
Majewski.
Yes.
Feinhardt.
Yes.
Last motion, Rick, and then Al.
To approve the pre-purchase support of 100 hours of preventative maintenance and customer request support in the amount of $13,650.
I'll second that.
And just so you know that our last purchase of pre-purchase support lasted almost 3 years.
Good,
So
good, that's good.
Roll call, please.
Majeski,
Yes.
Reinhardt,
Yes.
Pankin,
Yes.
Haskell,
Yes.
Bristol,
Yes.
Pittsford,
Yes.
Asplin.
Yes,
Are you supposed to do those in the order of the first person that,
No,
okay,
just my way of doing it.
thanks. Okay, good.
It randomizes it.
Okay,
Samantha,
motion to approve the contract with Smith RX as our new prescription provider beginning January 2023.
I'll second.
any discussion?
I think that's a good move.
Yeah.
Okay,
How long do they guarantee the prices? Did they say? No.
no, I mean, their charge is gonna be the same.
Right.
I mean, I can't guarantee what the prescription prices are gonna be later, but they're gonna do everything they can to make sure that we're doing the $7 drug instead of the $2,200 drug.
Right.
Is it gonna make a ton of extra work for you or what human resources to deal with that, or is it once the?
I don't think so. I mean, that's not gonna be any different than what we
Okay.
already do.
All right, good.
It's still a ton of work, but I don't think
Yeah.
it's gonna be any different.
Yeah, because every time you talk about it, you've changed things and stuff, and I'm just worried.
I think it's gonna be better for the employees because
Well,
they're
yeah.
gonna have a direct person to discuss prescriptions with.
Okay,
As
good.
opposed to going through our agent of record.
Yeah,
Right.
good.
So
This is great. Thanks.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Jack,
I move to approve the contract with Advanced Benefits Group as our agent of record for all health insurance related items, including but not limited to stop loss coverage, TESCA and Cobra prescription coverage, dental, vision, inmate insurance, Aflac, Allstate, aggregate stop loss with the responsibility of providing benefits, consulting, and recommendations of the Clare County with the county administrator. Anybody want to holler Aflac?
Jack.
motion, we got a second?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Sorry.
I
I want to take a short break. Forgot something in my truck before I give my reports.
A beer. Well,
Yes,
okay.
I need to call Judge Klaus anyway.
okay,
So
Okay,
let her know that we'll be,
take 5.
okay.
thank you,
Sandy,
Can't make it out there and
clarification, we
back
have a
in 5
finance
minutes.
meeting Tuesday, December 27th.
All right, you got a report for us?
I know, this is gonna be my longest one in a long time. Just wanted to let you know that we did have the statewide recount that went on. It was not every county in the state had a recount, but it was a lot of the state. And we were involved. We had one precinct. As far as we can tell, and Bureau of Elections can tell, there's no reason for any of the precincts that were picked. And when asked about it, they just said they had a secret sauce. It's how so we teased Deb Hoyt that she's part of the
Yeah,
secret
she
sauce.
is. Yeah, we
And
do.
so she was the only precinct in our county, and only one of her 2 precincts were chosen for the recount. And that ended with the result, the yes, and it was only for proposal 22-3 for her township. And it ended in the recount with 2 less yes votes and 3 additional no votes for that proposal. And that can happen sometimes because the way the machine reads the votes, so maybe someone put an X instead of filling in the oval. And sometimes voters will do it quickly and they only get a little piece of the line through the oval and the machine won't read it. So that's one way that there would be an additional vote. And
It didn't change the outcome though. At her.
they're still doing the recounts.
Okay.
Oh, no, it didn't change it in her township, no. And the recounts statewide are still going. Bureau of Elections doesn't expect a change
Okay.
in the final vote. So Bureau of Elections was at my conference and I was anxious to talk with them regarding the changes with proposal 22-2. And initially, I had told you last month that I didn't believe it would affect us because we don't have any townships over 10,000. That was not correct. It affects everyone statewide. So it doesn't matter if you have townships, jurisdictions over 10,000. So I just wanted to highlight a few of the changes that are going to take place and tell you how I'm planning to move forward. Bureau of Elections didn't have any recommendations for us at our conference. The election had just completed. They just got notification of the recount, so they were scrambling, trying to get the recount together because the law states you only have a certain amount of time to get the recount done. So we had to organize that. So they haven't even had a chance to look at proposal 22-2 to give their recommendations. So that will be coming after the first of the year. A couple of the things that I highlighted, this proposal is only for statewide and federal elections. While for local elections, like in May, we have Clare Public Schools have said they're going to file for a bonding proposal. They haven't done that yet, but if they do, that would not apply to this, to all of this. This is, I'm sorry, the early voting portion of it. Because it's not a statewide or federal election. But we have the option of offering the 9 days of early voting if we choose to on local elections. So they also said that the cost of the early voting is going to fall on the counties and the local jurisdictions. The state is not giving any funding for the early vote, 9 days of early voting. So not only is it 9 days of early voting, so it's 10 days of voting.
What's your estimate of the cost?
Yeah.
So the township,
Lori, so you're saying that it's an option to go with that? I thought it was that.
It's an option for a local election, like a school board election or a school proposal.
but not the
It's not a
statewide.
state federal wide. So May of next year, it'll be an option. But in 2024, the 3 elections we have, there's no option. We have to have the 9 days of early voting because that'll be a state and federal election.
That's gonna
Yeah.
That's gonna-
Work.
be a huge expense for some townships.
Yeah.
Yep, I'll get to that. Yeah.
Oh, okay, all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so the cost is going to fall on the county and the local townships. We can consolidate. I'm putting together a committee and we're going to discuss some options and ahead of Bureau of Elections giving their recommendations because we want to know what's best for our county. A lot of times these are passed based on big cities and what's best for big cities, and that's not always what's best for our small communities. So we're going to get together and discuss and have just brainstorming sessions on how this is going to work, how it could work, what it's going to look like. We can consolidate a minimum of 6 precincts together. So we might have a little piece over here with a bunch of voting and a little piece over here. My concern is it's confusing. So are we going to have one big place of voting for the 9 days before the election, and then you have to go to your townships on election day? Are people going to understand that? And when it's a federal election, you come here, but on a local election, we consolidate local elections already. So you might live in Hayes, but you're gonna vote in Hatton. But
Yeah.
you know, for a school election, for pre-voting, you're gonna vote here on a federal election, and the other election, you're gonna vote in your precinct. It's gonna be chaos. So we're gonna have to consider that very carefully. And then in the 9 days of early voting, you have to have the polls open for at least 8 hours a day. So, and that's not just 8 hours a day, because then you have the pre-setup and the tear down, the securing of the ballot. So you're talking 10 or 12-hour days that you're paying additional people for those 9 days ahead of time. The right for voters serving in military and living overseas to absentee vote. So there's a little change there. So not only are you having 9 days of early voting, but we can't
close the election for 6 days after the election now. Because if someone overseas is mailing their ballot, we have to count that ballot if it's dated on election day, so they can mail it on election day. As long as it's postmarked on election day, we have to receive it within 6 days after the election. We already had in place, we can email their ballot to them 45 days before the election, so that they have time to vote their ballot and mail it back to us. So now they added an extra 6 days for us to get it back. So now we can't close out our election for 6 days after election day. We can hold canvas and complete everything. We just can't certify it in case ballots come in after that time. This was a big one, the right to use photo ID. It was campaigned, this is gonna make it so that you have to use photo ID. Nothing changed. Nothing changed. You had the right to sign an affidavit if you didn't have your photo ID prior to this, you still have that. That's still the same. So you don't have to show vote ID to vote. You can sign the affidavit just like before the proposal passed. So that didn't change. This is the most concerning part, aside from the economical issues. Once someone applies for an absentee ballot, you can be put on a permanent AV list, which we have that now. The way it works now, you sign up to be on the permanent AV list. I mail you, or the local clerk mails you an application prior to each election. And then you send that application back, which tells the clerk that you're still interested, you want a ballot for that election. And they match the signatures. There's a whole ordeal they go through, a whole process. Now you fill out one application and it's good forever. You don't ever have to request a ballot again. So now we're just gonna mail you ballots every election, whether you want one or not. So you just get one. So if you don't vote for 6 consecutive years, we'll stop doing that. But as long as you vote once in those 6 years, you're gonna get a ballot every single election forever.
So how do they audit that? Say,
They
I sign
don't.
up for it and then move out of state.
Well, out of state, and the only way we're gonna know that you moved out of state is if you cancel your driver's license, Secretary of State cancels you. That's the only way we're going to know. Now, they do still, now, I don't think it's gonna be a huge issue in Clare County because we're small. And we do, our clerks do take your ballot, the envelope, and we look at your signature and we look at the signature we have on file for you and we make sure that signature matches. But I'm gonna tell you, in a county that has over 1 million voters,
Oh,
I doubt they're staffed well enough to compare those signatures.
Yeah.
So that's concerning.
it is.
But in a county that has over 1 million voters, wouldn't they already have in place enough staff? If they're already, no. Okay,
Probably not,
all right, yeah.
probably not. You know, how much staff does that take?
Mhm.
And you're talking not like next year, are they gonna have staff to do all of that forever, even though they don't have an election every year? So maybe they don't have an election next year. Are they still gonna pay those, you know? So probably not.
Okay.
So the prepaid postage, so now we're mailing ballots to everyone. Every election, the state is funding that postage. So now, and where do you think the state's gonna get that money? So they're estimating right now, based on the 2020 election, it's gonna cost $11.4 million each election for postage. So although it doesn't affect the county directly, that we have to pay that out, it will affect us.
Yeah, our tax dollars.
Right, absolutely. And they estimate at the next presidential election that increasing by $4.3 million. So $15-16 million per election. In 2024, we have 3 elections: presidential primary, the primary in August, and the general. And that's if nobody files in May for an election. So it's just, added cost. The state is paying for that. So we're paying the postage to mail the ballot and the ballot's postage paid to mail back. And we're paying to mail absentee applications. Those will go down dramatically. We won't have to mail many of those out anymore. The proposal would require drop boxes now, so everyone's gonna have to have a drop box, even if they don't, for absentee ballots. And you can place your absentee ballot applications in the drop boxes now, too. Donations and contributions, counties, cities, and townships can accept and use charitable donations and contributions to conduct and administer elections. So, I don't know,
Wait, what?
yes.
We get to pay to vote. Yes.
Yes, so the proposal would allow counties, cities, and townships to accept and use charitable donations and contributions to conduct and administer elections. So that's an option if you want to get out there and see if someone wants to fund our election.
Yeah.
Lori, are you gonna go to
If you win
different
the
townships?
lottery,
Yeah.
you're
Get this
gonna-
information?
Yes, that's the plan. So,
I don't, I
I've
think.
been printed material too.
They're voting on.
no, people, the voters watch what is advertised a lot of times.
Were
Some do research, but not all.
were
So
these rules set, were they in place before we voted? Or is these things?
I believe they were. We didn't have access to most of this until just before the election. So,
Well, the voters had no idea.
Right.
Right.
All this stuff.
Right.
You can look them online though.
so I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. This is going to cost the county more money. It's going to take more coordinating, planning, and executing from my office. So don't be surprised if I come asking for another employee. It's not in the plan yet, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities either. What it's going to cost to staff an election for 9 days, what it's going to look like securing those ballots. There's just a lot to think about and a lot of thought that's going to have to go into this.
Right, you know, the additional cost to some of the smaller townships that can't absorb that cost.
Right, and that's, I joked with the township clerks at our last meeting. They said, do you think this will go to a county-run election? I said, over my dead body, but that is probably what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's probably what's gonna happen.
Um,
And you can be thinking about whether you want to pass any of these costs down to the locals, if that's where it goes. I'll keep you informed and make decisions with you, because you're going to have to fund whatever decisions I make. So it'll be a team effort, but, and then just know that you have that option. It's not a popular option. And I don't know, maybe, I don't know if Lori can look into whether we can have a election millage, like we have a road patrol millage, or you know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's even an option. I think people will do something like that. No.
I don't know if it's a Michigan statute, but I see some states will take the mail-in if they're postmarked before the deadline. Is that here too?
Absentee ballots,
Yeah.
that's what we do now.
Mhm.
That's what we did prior.
If they're postmarked before the deadline, you will.
Well, the deadline is election day at 8 PM.
Okay.
So yes, any postmark prior to election day, we accept,
Okay.
or even on election day.
Yesterday, I got some mail that was postmarked November 27th. So that's,
And I was glad to see that they put a cap on the military and overseas
Yeah.
ballots, that we have to accept them if they're dated election day or before. Because I thought, how long are we supposed to keep the election open and waiting for these? But they did put a 6-day cap on it. So they essentially added 15 days to each election. Any other questions? I'll keep you updated on how things go.
Thank you.
We need to go into closed session if you guys agree. Have a motion to do that.
So
Motion's
moved.
on the agenda. You have to, you have to actually speak this.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session to discuss.
I'll second.
Motion second, roll call, please.
Majewski,
Yes.
Whitehart,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Haskell,
Yes.
Bristol. Yes. Pittsburgh. Yep. Asplin.
Yes.
Closed session. Penny left us a report. She is currently busy, but we want to review it. Anybody got any questions on it? I think pretty straightforward. We get it all the time, so
Yeah.
Cash.
with that being said, it's my report. I guess first off, Bronwyn and Sandy, if this is our last meeting, it was an honor serving with you and
Same here, Jeff.
thank you for what you've done for the county. I actually think you've done a very good job. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having
I think you're kind of fond of you, Sandy.
Yeah, oh, thanks.
Maybe that's why. And one thing I was just talking to these guys about, Monday night, Michigan Works had their year-end meeting at the Riverwalk, and Rodney Huntoon was their award candidate for Clare County. And he went through their training, their help, and he's got a job with Rick's company now,
Oh,
GF Ronald.
good, good.
That's wonderful.
And it was kind of a really neat thing that helped him get his CDL license. He's got a speech impediment, so I feel if he just walked in off the street, you probably wouldn't give him the time of day. But once people got to know him and how hard he worked to get this and them hiring, it was a great success story. And I thought kind of neat how different organizations, mental health, the rehab and Michigan Works all work together and made a good citizen even better by giving him a good job. And he's extremely excited. It was kind of fun. There's out of the 6 counties, there's a success story from every county in here at the meeting. So
Good. We need to hear good news like that. Yeah.
that's cool. So if anybody wants to look at this, it's
Thanks for having me.
right here. Read it.
Thank you.
And that's all I got.
All right. Just a few things, a lot of discussion as people are opening up their tax bills on the lake level assessments. Over it.
You find that they feel it's gonna be an every year thing? This is just a 1 year
Just supposed to be
deal.
a one-year thing.
Right.
And we'll see, but it's up to the discretion of the drain commissioner can assess it again. He's the only entity elected
Right.
official that can levy taxes on, without a vote for the people. And we don't see anything, in the future, but you never can tell, but, people are opening up their taxes and they're seeing these increases. If you've got a lot of properties, you're gonna need a lot of assessments if you're in that area, so. It's unfortunate. I know there were some appeals that were put through that people had come to me and said, where's the process? I have to refer them to the drain commissioner. I don't know what happened to the appeals that were put through, so. Other than that, Lincoln Township had its Christmas party. It was a big success. We've got a couple of girls out there that are really taking the reign on doing the kids' parties and stuff like that. They had a tree lighting, which was huge.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
and that, so it's good to see stuff like that in the community.
It is.
So, but, yeah, that's all.
Right, thank you. Sandy,
The road commission is putting up more caution Amish signs. They funded that. That's a good thing, right? Because there's just very few of them out there.
Don't answer that.
Yeah, no, there's very few of them out there on the roads, so they're gonna do that.
Amateur signs.
They're gonna put signs of caution for Amish buggies, okay? Let's see, and have all of you heard about the Super Six project that the road commission's doing? Where they're, yeah, and you're part of that. It's a really good thing. The manager there is getting townships to cooperate in big funding road paving projects. So this one sounds extremely exciting, and the townships are excited to combine their monies and get this stuff done. And in Sheridan Township, a group of Amish there came up and want to contribute money. They talked about $100,000, and if they needed more, that they would try and round up some more. So I think that's a sign of times getting better. All right. The Sheridan clerk retired and they're looking for a new one. The other townships are pretty quiet. Hamilton Township said that they were one of either the only one or one of two townships in the county that when they did the election, everything turned out perfectly. They were pretty happy about that. We didn't make any mistakes. So that was good. I would ask you to urge all of your townships to attend the MTA meeting. We have a really good MTA group right now. People are coming in and they're having speakers. And at this last one, they had a speaker that talked about FOIA process.
Right.
And was there one other thing?
Yeah, I didn't bring it with
Okay,
me,
but they didn't talk just a little bit.
well, FOIA was the big topic.
Yeah, okay.
And in Freedom of Information Act, and they talked about how townships need to make their budgets available to the public.
Yes.
That was a big.
Yeah, that was, okay. And there was a great presentation. And if you want, you can tell your townships that if they'd like to see the slides from that, contact May, right? May Tessner, and she'll send them those. And I've got that set aside for a couple of mine. And I think that's about it. Everybody's behaving.
Thank you. Rick,
I have nothing this time.
Sam, Jack,
I'd like to comment just briefly on the Amish signs.
I remember from there.
Is
We're
there
in your point.
anybody here that doesn't know there's Amish in Clark County? And
They're moving up into Hamilton Township.
I know,
Yeah.
but the thing of it is all the years that I went out there to those personal injury accidents, and too many of them involved
horrible.
Amish. I mean, they are horrendous, heart-wrenching
Oh,
traffic crashes. I can't think of one of them that didn't involve somebody that lived in Clare County that hit them.
Yeah, and they're usually
Those are
drunk.
people. So back in the 80s, we had
Not
signs,
the
the Amish signs everywhere. We put them up. They either got stolen or they got knocked down. And my fear is, and I would like to see them talk to the elders and that, so that they don't put the signs up and they think they're protected because there's signs up. And they don't have to watch out for themselves. I'm going to say that it could have an adverse effect.
yes.
It could say, those buggies might think, well, there's a sign up down there. I went through the same thing with Watch for Children, all of these specialty signs that people think, okay, there's a sign up, so I don't have to watch my little one anymore because the cars will slow down. You think those signs are gonna slow anybody down?
Well, I have a road commission meeting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. So I will ask them about that. I'll talk to them. I'll say, Jack mentioned that he thinks it's a bad idea.
Well,
No, I will talk to
Listen.
him about it.
listen, I just, if it works, they're mad enough at me anyway.
Yeah,
so
I
don't
was
get
only
me
joking.
started.
I will ask him about that. I will, yes,
Anyway, if they work, that would be great,
okay,
but I have my
agree.
doubts.
okay. And I have noticed in all the years that I travel around the county that many more Amish are having the lights on their buggies. I think that's a help too.
Yeah.
That probably protects.
Listen,
depends on
I
where
have
they're at.
met with the old order that have just a little bit of the white strip on there, and I've asked them, would you please light them up a little
Yeah.
bit more, put a slow moving vehicle sign.
I think within the city limits of Clare now, they are required.
Right.
Driving a buggy.
No, they're not. I
Oh,
mean,
are
they
they?
might be required, but they don't.
But they do, yeah, I get
They're not
it.
enforced.
Yeah, but
Not
it is an
enforced.
ordinance.
You know, you get out there at night, you get on Beaverton Road. And boy, you better be careful because they're full of buggies and they got those little tiny white
Oh,
things.
yeah.
He said to me, if it's God's will, then
Mhm.
we'll be home. We'll
Yeah.
be home.
Yeah, well, I drive home from Sheridan and Arthur Township, you know, all these years coming back from their township board meetings. And there have been some scary nights in, you know, in the wintertime when it's dark early that, oh, I've been almost right on top of a buggy before I saw it. I know
Well,
what you're talking
see,
about.
You take and a car comes and the vehicles of today have got these new lighting systems on them. In fact, as General Motors is told, they got to take the terrain and they've got to take the GMC terrain and they've got to take another, I'm not sure. And they've got to do something with their lighting system because they're blinding. They
They
come
are.
at you and it looks like they got the brights on.
Yes,
And Clare County is an older, we're all old codgers, ornery old people.
yep.
And so we're driving around out there. And I just think if you're driving down the road and here comes those lights at you and you're trying to look and there's a buggy out there,
Absolutely.
I compliment the so-called Clare group with the strobes
Mhm.
and all of the things. But the one that got hit so bad 2 weeks ago that
Yes.
they talked about
Mhm.
was lit up like a Christmas tree.
Was it? Oh,
And
gosh.
That guy hit them. He was their
Horrible.
neighbor.
How,
But he was drunk.
Well, he was.
I mean, and he was.
Yeah, but the ones that I see, I've seen people that you could see their house that they've hit an Amish buggy. So anyway,
Yeah.
it's awful.
they talked about, I'd like to say one last thing, and I'm running out of my 3 minutes.
You're getting
Okay.
close, yeah.
Okay, hit the gavel.
Sandy gets away with it stuff, we stop you.
When they talked about at the Sheridan, they talked about the windmills and that
Oh,
wanting to
yeah.
come into Clare County. And I
Yeah.
said that I got a flyer that
Mhm.
consumers wants to buy some land.
Mhm.
I got a call last night or yesterday. Yeah, they're looking for land.
Really?
And what scares me is there is talk in Lansing. Now, I haven't talked to any of them, so this is kind
Mean
of
anybody in
hearsay.
Lansing you haven't talked to?
Well,
Or
since
Sheridan?
in Lansing,
Okay.
since this come about, but they said after the first of the year, there's a pretty good chance that they can use the eminent domain
Mhm.
law
Yeah,
to be able to take, say, like a place like mine, I'm not interested in selling. But they could take a place like mine and say, hey, we gotta have this. I've got a friend that's by the windmill farms over in Coleman.
Mhm.
And they came to him, they needed a substation. And they said, we need your 15 acres. He said, it's not for sale. They said, well, here's what we'll pay. And if you don't want to do that, we'll just go through the process.
Mhm.
So he went to his lawyer and his lawyer said, sell it. They said, we don't want to sell it. And he said, well, you might just as well sell it because if we go to that, it'll cost you far more money than what that's worth. So he sold them the 15 acres. And I didn't think that they could take private property, a private company. I know MDOT can. They want to build a road through your property, they can go ahead and do it. But so if that law, see the old law that was passed during the Grant Home administration, that 25% by 25, we're not going to hit it. We're not going to hit 25% of renewable energy. Now they're going to extend it to 28 or 30. But they have got a tremendous amount of work to do to get renewable energy by 30. And they're gonna, all you gotta have, they gotta have big blocks of land to be able to put them. So it will be a big tax. I mean, the property taxes on them are enormous, so it'll
It's a
raise
good
some
money
revenue.
maker for the county.
Big
what they
for
said
the
when they
county
approached us
unless the
about it.
township cabbages the money.
Yeah, and Sheridan Township doesn't want that. They did a survey of all of their people and what was the windmills was 75% of the respondents didn't want it. And 63 or so percent didn't want even the solar panels. So, and I think that I probably Arthur Township's that way too. They just absolutely don't want windmills, so. If eminent domain comes around, oh boy.
Well, see, that's what will trigger the eminent domain. And there's gonna be a new
Yeah.
administration, a new legislature
Yeah,
coming in after the first of the year
yeah.
that is more green. So
Boy,
anyway,
Sheridan Township will build a stockade.
You good?
I've yielded all my time for the next 3 or 4 meetings.
Okay.
Can't believe I'm gonna ask this, but how much noise do those windmills make, you know?
Yeah,
Do you?
yeah, I'm set, I mean, you can hear.
Can you?
You hear-
Does it drive you insane though?
What's that?
Will it drive you insane though?
Probably you.
Wow.
Short trip. All right, Brown.
Yeah, I say our treasurer is here with us. Thank you very much for those reports. We appreciate it. Greenwood had a very nice Christmas party. They had a lot of kids there. We had a cakewalk. They had a cookie decorating for the children and you know, the Christmas tree was all lit up and it was a wonderful event. Frost Township meetings this week and Summerfield, Winterfield. So got those to go to yet, but thank you everyone for all you've done. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
And thank you, Lori.
All right. We need to talk about the budget.
No, I don't think so.
There's no big surprises from last year that have come in bills. We
Nope.
still look like we finished very well.
Yep, we finished, well, the auditors are going through it now, but we finished with the fund balance so far, like about 3 million, Jenny. Yep, roughly 3 million, so.
I have trouble saying that out loud at my township board meetings because I
We can
think
actually.
they're gonna
the
say
courts
I'm
are
lying.
nice.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, we got a big, a lot bigger
yeah.
campus and organization and responsibility, I guess, maybe.
Okay,
Okay.
well, I'm liking it. I have one question. Is everybody done with their comments? Because I just have one quick question for Gage. Stop. Okay, is that okay?
For who?
Gage?
It's Gabe.
Gage, well, yeah, sorry. Hmm? What?
Said to stop.
No, I just have one quick question for you. And it was just about what's going on at Camp Grayling, because you're kind of involved there, right? About the expansion. Do you have an opinion?
I have an opinion, but I'm not involved. I retired December 31st of last year.
Yeah, right. Well, would you be okay with giving your opinion? You think that's a good idea? Because it's near
I
the,
won't tell you what's going on up there. They're asking for an expansion.
yeah,
And the reason that they need to expand is because the new weapon systems that are coming online in the United States military require larger expanses of land
Yeah.
to use properly. So if you utilize, let's say, an electronic warfare system, and if you turn the switch on that, it's gonna fry people's cell phones. So you need to give that standoff. You have to provide space for those systems to be utilized. Not only do they need to be utilized, but there's in a joint environment, meaning Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, in all 5 domains, air, land, sea, cyber, and space. When you start, and Camp Grayling is the only place in the entire Department of Defense where you can use all 5 domains at the same time
in the United
in a train
States.
in the United States. Because when you say all 5 domains,
Yeah,
most of the other places only have 4 or 3 domains. They don't have all 5. So Camp Grayling is asking to expand so that they can fully utilize all the new weapon systems. So think about the long-range cannon systems that we have.
Mhm.
HIMARS, which is a high mobility, it's an
yeah,
aerial rocket system.
yeah.
It can fire up to 200 miles. So where do we train with those? Primarily, we use them out in the National Training Center out Fort Irwin, California. But to utilize them here, we downgrade them to 50 miles, which is the minimum. So how do you fire those rockets? Utilize electronic warfare, utilize space and cyber in one spot when your footprint is so small.
So you're,
For safety reasons, for deployment and development of those weapon systems, utilized in defense of the United States, they're asking to expand that footprint. Now, I understand there's a lot of people out there with competing or differing opinions of
Yeah.
whether that's good or bad.
about the environment, because you're at the headwaters of two major Michigan rivers there, and they're not taking that into consideration.
I think they are taking it into
Yeah.
consideration. The director of the DNR is taking it into consideration,
Okay,
as well as my former boss, Major General Paul Rogers, is taking it into consideration. There's nobody out there that wants to trash the environment or put people's lives at risk.
okay,
They're asking for, I think, a rather prudent expansion.
okay.
So that's my understanding of that request.
Yeah, that's,
I'm ambivalent one way or another. I'll just explain what it is.
They're also expanding the airfield too, aren't they?
They have to expand the area.
Because
Yeah.
some of us, they can't fly in the F-18s because they can't fly out of there.
Well, it's not only that they can't fly out of there, the approach path into the Grayling Army Airfield puts it right over the city of Grayling. So from a safety standpoint, when you start bringing in C-17, or any type of aircraft that we have now in the inventory, it is unsafe. A fully loaded C-17 cannot fly. The length of the runway, the approach, and the weight restrictions, they have to redo that kind of run. So those airfields were built in the 50s. And the aircraft back in the 50s are not the aircraft that we have today.
Yeah.
They're much more capable, much faster, much larger, much heavier. So you're looking at something that is different.
so they're gonna have those jets zooming over my house again at 250 feet above the trees? where it's-
Sounds like freedom, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh,
All right.
used to suck us out the front door.
You got any
Okay.
public comment? Okay, you're done. You're way off time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see Rudy Hicks is unmuted here. I don't know if she has something that she wants to share or say.
Rudy?
Rudy?
Maybe that was an accident on her part.
Okay,
Can I didn't get to do a report, I'm sorry, I was late. I had another meeting at that time. Can I do a quick report?
yes, you can.
Okay,
We already vouched for you though. You were good. Janet told us what's going on.
all right, perfect. She said that she handed out the
Mhm.
financial reports.
Mhm.
There's a part in there that would be different from the normal that does give you the current tax balance and the fund balance. When you look in the delinquent tax revolving fund, you're going to see a section that used to be orange in that it has switched, and I think I mentioned at the last meeting that the state of Michigan in Clare County denies principal resident exemption, which are basically a homestead. And 2 months in a row, they hit us with pretty big amount. So we had 383 in November and 84 in October. And so once we had those all processed, we owe the schools and the townships a little over $600,000. And it's not that we owe, it's the taxpayers have to pay back. So it has switched this section around. So far, taxpayers have paid us around 145,000, so it's down to they owe about 443. But there are a ton of appeals coming in.
Okay.
So obviously, we have money that I've been trying to invest, so I can't upfront the money to the school. So I'm waiting for it as the money comes in from the taxpayers. Then monthly I'll be paying back to the schools and the townships on that. So once you get to reading, which I'm sure you haven't had time to look that over yet, it's just kind of an explanation because that's going to be, that will look really different for you guys. Other than that, I just wanted to mention that winter tax bills just went out from the townships, but when they go out, we have the same deadline as them with taxes that are delinquent and that go into what's called forfeiture, which means they're gonna get hit with some pretty big fees, but they have a whole nother year to pay before they would ever be foreclosed on. There's a lot of help out there for people with taxes right now. And so we've been working with a lot of people, we're working with a lot of groups, the Michigan Housing Authority, MSU has a bunch of webinars that are showing what this help is, but at the same time, they're giving some financial counseling. And then we're also working with Mid-Michigan Community Action Agency. In the event that they don't have help and they need they're in the danger of losing their property. We have a show cause hearing, which is in front of me on January 12th and 13th from 10 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. So if you have anybody that comes to you that might be struggling, there is a hearing where I can make arrangements. Obviously, there's some criteria that we have to go through, but I can make some payment arrangements with them to extend the foreclosure so they don't lose their home. And also, if they miss that, there is a hearing in front of Circuit Court Judge in the judicial foreclosure hearing, which is scheduled for February 10th at 9 in the morning. And then I'm just starting to work with the auditors. They're coming in January, so we've all just been giving information to them. We did work with the animal shelter. Speaking of Rudy, she received a grant that paid for distemper vaccinations in November. So we had a clinic where I think they did about 220, but they've reached out where there was people from other counties coming. We sold about 150 licenses, but this is our first one-stop shop that we've had since COVID.
Yes.
And it was really busy. It worked out really great. We sold 150 to Clare County residents. And then they also were able to do rabies. The grant wasn't for rabies, but they were able to do a discounted rabies vaccination at the same time.
That's a good project.
Yeah, it was really great. We're hoping to get a couple more because those really go over well.
They do.
Having the one stop.
People wait for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're trying, we have a couple other ideas that we're working on. And we do have our second annual dog license. If you purchase a dog license anywhere from October 1st through February 14th, I think it is. I don't know the exact, they're gonna be drawn a 1-year tag and a 3-year tag, and we're gonna get a doggy basket.
Great.
Oh, nice. Okay. Do they do cats at the rabies clinic?
They didn't at this one. The vet specifically asked to not have any cats come, but in the past.
They have. Okay.
In the past, they did.
Thanks.
You're welcome. That's it. Sorry. to take up time.
Thank
Jenny,
you.
Yes.
what about the tax anticipation note? Are we gonna need to get one this year?
This year, I do not believe we will need to get one.
Really?
We're using some other funds. I have some invested in between the delinquent tax revolving fund and the ARPA funding. I can use that to do a short-term internal loan versus having to go out for it.
That's
Wow.
big.
So we're still
That's
going to
big.
need some cash flow wise, probably not to the extent that we have. but-
That's the first time since I've been here, other than the first couple of years.
Yeah,
We didn't get one last year.
Last
Didn't?
year-
Last year?
Last year. we did
Oh,
not.
wow.
This year.
Okay, good.
Great.
Okay. Any unfinished business?
No.
New business?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Yeah, awesome.